live. Oh my gosh, everyone. Hello. I missed you. I hope you missed us. Everything is new. Corey's back. My hair is blue. There are guests on this show. Wes, punch it! All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Living Force. Oh, we missed you all. It's Monday night. Things are right as they should be. We are live here on twitch.tv/utini_US. I am one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me after so long, after a long exodus, is Dr. Corey Helton. Hey, man.
Hello. Not long enough, I'm afraid.
I know. You'll be gone again soon. But for now, you're back on the show. You're back in our lives.
That's right.
Also with us tonight, of course, is the man behind the keys, Wes Jenkins. Hello, man.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Better now that I've heard your luxurious tones in my ears. But we do not have Dr. Charles Henkel. He is in a coma of pleasure after the Miami Heat made the NBA Finals. So instead, we have two of the wonderful creators from Project Stardust, a site and collective that we are so excited to talk about tonight. First, we have Stephanie. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Can't wait to talk about all things Stardustian. And of course, we have the heralded creator of Project Stardust, the Lightspeed skipping host herself, Meg Dowell.
Hello. It's me. I'm back. It's been so long since I've seen you.
I know. My gosh, Corey was gone, so we just got to hang out, and it was lovely. If this is your first time watching this show, welcome. We are the Living Force Podcast, the podcast of utini.com, where we talk about Star Wars Expanded Universe. We got book reviews. We got collections. We got articles. We got love. We got love. That's really the key. It makes the world go around, so I've heard.
Jesus, I go away for 2 weeks. I come back. Eric's hair is blue, and he's a giant hippie, of course. Like, what the heck?
That is it. We do host this Hippie Love live stream show every Monday night at Twitch at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The audio podcast version is released Thursday for our lovely patrons at patreon.com/utini and Fridays on iTunes. Thanks for joining everyone in the chat. Looks like we got some new people in here. Hi. Welcome. Yo, how you doing? How is everyone tonight?
Good.
Let's start there. How
Pretty
are
good.
you?
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I can't say my go-to statement because Wes called me out for it earlier. He's like,
Did
don't
he?
Be like, well, hydrated, feel good, powerful.
Love it.
Well, I am glad to be here. Tonight, as we said, we are going to be talking to these wonderful creators all about their Project Stardust, about how it got started, about what a magnificent part of the community it is, the kind of community they hope to build and flourish. But before that, we're going to talk about a little bit of Star Wars news, if you will, because, y'all, we took a week off last week. It was hard. I missed everyone. We did release an interview with Mark Thompson, heralded narrator of Thrawn Ascendancy, Chaos Rising, plug for next week's roundtable episodes. But we did not go live, and Mandalorian trailer dropped. So, not our best move. not like
Excellent.
the one event Star Wars people have been waiting for months.
Well, there's no good time to take a vacation because, like, they just dropped stuff without any notice. So,
Yeah.
what are we supposed to do? Just never go on
Yeah.
vacation, I guess.
Well, that sounds horrid. You know what wasn't horrid, though, was this trailer. So I want to go around round robin style. Stephanie, I want to start with you. What were your initial reactions to the glory, leading the witness, that was the Mandalorian Season 2 trailer?
Just excitement. Just finally getting something to see that we're going to see. And also, like, Baby Yoda, is he going to get more adorable in Season 2? Is that possible? Because when he hides in his little, like, thing when Mando starts shooting up the place, as Mando does, like, I just love it. And also the memes of, like, 2020 and, like, hiding, it's all so perfect.
infinite meme potential really is what Yoda is for. The baby Yoda, or sorry, the child. It's the child, everyone, not baby Yoda. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I loved that moment of him just hiding does really feel identifiable in the climate we're currently in. Meg, what'd you think?
Listen, it's fine that we didn't get anything about the Darksaber at all in the trailer.
Fine.
As long as we get a lot of it in the actual season.
There we go.
Because it's the best thing about all these shows in Star Wars, in my opinion. So as long as there's plenty of that. And also, along with that, Bo-Katan can show up anytime she wants to. Yeah.
Yeah. I am very interested to see how much kind of crossover we're going to have in Mando season 2. Because I know we all love the original stuff in Mando season 1. I mean, Baby Yoda being the most obvious of all of it. I think the show was at its peak when it was original, which you can hear more of on Bounty Hunt, our Patreon exclusive UTN podcast, which will be coming back for season 2. But there could be a lot of cool crossover. I completely agree. I think that a lot of the planets, like some people thought we saw Ilum, maybe Lothal, a lot of cool possibilities. Corey, you were gone. You were on a mountain, I assume, with no internet or electricity, communing with the animals on vacation. But when you got back, did you watch the trailer?
I did watch the trailer. I think I was still on night shift at the time, and I woke up to all caps text message from Eric just says, "This is the way." It was just like, excellent. So I knew what happened immediately as soon as I saw the text and immediately pulled it up and watched it. It looks a lot of fun. Like, I think that the show like takes a lot of risk and looks like they're gonna go kind of new places. I love that the humor looks like it's still gonna be there. That was a really fun part of the first season. Like,
for sure,
Baby Yoda punching the the little clothes, the bassinet thing was fantastic. So I'm excited. I can't believe we're already here. Like, it really seems like we were just here not that long ago, and now it's already back. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Do we know how many seasons they're gonna be? Like they've not really announced that, have they?
No,
I don't think
at
so.
least 4, I think now. Giancarlo Esposito, who, like, bless his heart, not so good at the Star Wars secret thing in interviews, it seems, is pretty is pretty vocal about that. Series 4 has already been talked about, I think. And let's be honest, it's as long as they make a lot of money. So I think it'll be a while. I think it'll be a lot. Obviously, COVID. It's amazing that with COVID in the world as it is, they still made a second entire season within a year.
Yeah,
I think it's
nuts.
pretty. Yeah, I think that we get spoiled with Star Wars content sometimes. Like, there's so much. There's shows and books and movies that we're like, oh, I have to wait a year. And then we had the people that were like lived through the dark ages that are like, oh, a year. Oh no, I
The
can't
struggle.
believe it.
Yes.
But yeah, that was great. Wes,
Yes.
what did this do to you? Did it gird your loins? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry to get
Well,
that. I've missed you.
on
I gotta get
account-
personal.
On account of buttermilk on my thighs. No.
Yeah. Oh wow, this
What?
is a teeny game night right
What?
On
now.
account of being Star Wars nerd, I'm also a pro wrestling mark. So that would be maybe person Jedi that we saw as spot on. That's Sasha Banks. That's got to be her.
Mhm. Yeah.
That was in the hood. I'm really interested to see how she's going to be involved because she was gone for, I don't know, like when she was on Raw. That's a wrestling show. It comes on Mondays.
Monday nights. I know that.
But she was gone for a good 8 to 12 weeks, maybe a little longer. Like, they wrote her off the storylines, and she was out doing this. So I wonder how many scenes.
What
she's
was her
actually in.
storyline when she was gone? Because I know they always have to have like a dramatic reason why she's gone.
Oh yeah, she hurt herself. She hurt, there was like a knee issue, hurt her knee. I don't know. Adam will probably
wait.
fact check me on that.
Say, hold on. You have professional wrestling, which is all about the hyperbolic hero nature of like, fighting and
Oh, yeah.
narrative. And then she's like, no, she got a knee injury. She'll be
Knee.
back in like 8 weeks.
Knee, torn ACL, something like that.
Well, I hope that her character in The Mandalorian season 2 is awesome. I bet she will. There's so much, like you were saying, Meg, that we haven't seen, like the Darksaber, which we know is involved. I'm gonna throw out a quick shout out for the fact that we got X-wings, which, as anyone who's known me for any amount of time knows how much I love the ships and all Star Wars things. And God, that moment where the X-wings are flying after the Razor Crest in a TV show is.
It's sweet. It's really sweet.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
I love the nostalgia.
It's so cool.
Anytime you see the original stuff, like in new stuff, it's so cool. Like, I love Rogue One. You know how much I feel about that. So
I love Star Wars, guys. I love Star Wars. I love that's where we are. And speaking of loving Star Wars, which is the dumbest segue on this podcast I could ever make. Speaking of loving Star Wars, a thing that is great. Another cool thing happened this past week. We got a look into something that we love specifically here on the Living Force, as we are an extended universe podcast. The High Republic is coming, everyone. There are a couple advanced reader copies in the world I've seen on Twitter of Claudia Gray's novel and Justina Ireland's novel. They're not at my house yet. It's fine. Fine. Not that I have the FedEx person on speed dial now, but we did get a design from the High Republic, a lightsaber. One of the cross hilt guard lightsaber designs came out. Did you guys see this?
yeah, I did. It looks sick. It looks sick. It looks like
Awesome.
It looks like Old Republic kind of stuff. Like it looks like, what is it, like retract or something? Like
Yeah, it's like when you light it up, it like
opens
does
up.
this. Wow, audio people. I made a little thing with my hands, I like put them apart like a butterfly.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It looks really cool. Like I'm glad that there was. I guess controversy might not be the right word to use. Like it was new and weird with Kylo Ren's lightsaber when the sequel trilogy was announced and they showed it in the trailers and stuff. And I'm excited to see alternative weird stuff. And we had all kinds of weird stuff in Legends, like light whips and
Yeah. Oh, do we?
crazy stuff. Yeah.
Are there weird things in Legends? Yeah,
right.
there was someone I saw in I don't know, it was a Facebook group. You don't care. It was in something people were talking, and a guy was like, "Well, that would not work. In the first duel, it would be cut off, and it would not work at all." And I'm like, "This is a space wizard story. There are flying whales that go through light speed."
Yeah, the not how that works argument is a pretty weak argument when it comes to Star
Also, have
Wars.
people not seen actual swords with crossguards? Like that's a feature.
Right,
of
exactly.
Swords.
Yes,
And it's like
exactly.
so obvious. And I could go on a like medievalist tangent because like they talked about all of it being like the Jedi's, the Knights of the Round Table,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and the lightsaber being Excalibur. And I'm sitting here going, okay, well, this is interesting. Like, are you going to do like, is High Republic going to be like the High Middle Ages and Arthurian in the design? Whereas like everything has up to this point has been insular and early medieval. Even like Octu is like one of the most important early medieval sites. So I'm just like, yeah, it's a lightsaber, it's cool, but also
Yes.
all the medieval things, all the
Yes.
medieval things.
So,
I
I'm
think
very
we're,
excited to have Stephanie back on our High Republic show.
I think
next
we're
year.
I think we're done here, Eric. I mean, I think we just need to. We're clearly not smart enough for this.
Oh my god! I got as an Arthurian nerd myself, just chills hearing about that. Also, quick shout out if y'all haven't picked up Tracy Dion, a up and coming Star Wars author, and from a certain point of view, Empire Strikes Back, wrote a book called Legendborn that just came out, which is a YA Arthurian retelling. So, Arthur,
Sweet.
Star Wars, it's all in there.
That's fantastic.
But I also wanted to call it this lightsaber we're talking about. If you haven't seen it, it's on StarWars.com. There's an article. It's Stellan Gios. It's his lightsaber, and it's going to be in the lightsaber book that's coming out next month. One of those like reference books that has all the lightsabers in it. And I was really surprised that this thing, which I mean, the reference books are usually like movie things. You know, they're TV shows, visual. Like, were you all shocked that they're putting a future book concept in a lightsaber book that has like Kylo Ren's lightsaber in it? Like,
Wow,
that's
it's
amazing.
Very surprising. I don't know. I still have the theory that like, I don't know, maybe some biggers at work here than just books and comics. I would love to see something original come out of this era. That'd be fantastic. I don't care if it's a show or a movie or a game. Like, I don't care. Just something beyond just books and comics would be really sweet.
Well, I gotta say, Stephanie, your talk about medieval Arthurian Star Wars has me wanting like Star Wars Assassin's Creed now. Like, I think it just fits.
Yeah, it does. It works. Anything Star Wars and medieval, like you can be like, how is this medieval? And I can probably come up with a tangent about how it's medieval. It's
Excellent.
just superpower.
Well, Star Wars has always been very inspired by like Greek mythology, so it would be neat to see like complete other sort of mythology, like that we really spend a lot of time drawing from. That'd be really fantasof. So I'm totally
Yeah.
with you.
And make it weird. Also, a while ago, I forgot to call us out. Joxy, thank you for the bit. Those people watching us on Twitch, you can give us bits, and they are things. Wes, you've been running Utini Game Night. What's bits?
Bits are like
what is
tips.
bit?
Bits are definitely like tips. Thanks for that 1 bit, Jose. Appreciate you.
That's
Really
like
putting the lights on
it's
for
like
us.
0.4 of a cent or something like
yes,
that.
1 bit is 1 cent, and we don't get all of it.
We get a hay penny.
It's like you buy gas and it's like $1.73.997. It's like really.
Well, thank you. And to all you on Twitch, yeah, I don't know, throw it up. Why not?
Joxy works for us. We can call him out if we want to.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do him like that. But you know who else helps us out? Our lovely patrons. And I wanted to highlight here before we get into our Stardust Talk Fully. A couple new patrons we got over the last couple weeks. We were not here last week. But thank you to Maggie Dickinson and Gia or Gaia, like the Earth Mother, perhaps. Thank you to both of you for your patronage and also for existence, possibly. We definitely appreciate you. Welcome to the Patreon family. We'll talk at the end of the show about all the new stuff in Patreon. We move those updates later on because, again, new format. It's a new life. We want to get to our main topic now that I've had 16 minutes of intro. But before we do, we also want to do one thing we love to do at this time. We love to highlight one patron every single week that's helping make the Utini community great. So, Wes, if you wouldn't mind throwing it up to Carl Sander, this week's patron of the week.
Hi there, I'm Carl. I'm a writer here at Utini, and this week I'm humbled to be the patron of the week. I'm just slightly too young to remember theaters in 1977, but at the same time, I don't remember a time in my life without Star Wars. The movies have always been there, the characters. My parents didn't quite indulge my interest in the toys, and since it was before internet and social media, things like Utini, I was kind of slow to find the books. But I did find some source books for the tabletop game. And that helped open my eyes and just how big this universe was, that there was something bigger than we've seen on the screen. I was in college on my way home for a semester break when in an airport bookstore, I saw my man Freddie C's Truce for Cora, and that was my eye-opening moment that there was this thing as Star Wars novels. But at the same time, with too many credits per semester and going into the Navy and flight school, I never had the time to follow that any further. Until many years later, toward the end of my time in the Navy, and I finally was able to jump into this expanded universe of Star Wars books. Like many folks, and perhaps many of you, I found that the sheer number of titles, and at that point, 2 different timelines, a little bit daunting. But that's when I heard this mid school student on a podcast talking about his Star Wars book box subscription plan, and other ways to make sense of all the content that was out there. At the same time, I was also starting a second career as a freelance writer, and this same kid on the same podcast said his new enterprise is welcoming content creators. So I signed up as a subscriber to the Utini Book Box back when that was a thing, and also signed on to be a writer. The rest is history. When the subscriptions went away, I jumped on Patreon as soon as I can to help keep the lights on and help give me a place where I get to write about Star Wars. What I love most about all of this is honestly, aside from the great stories and the sheer entertainment, is the relationships. It matches the Star Wars theme of found family. In my personal life, my wife walked down the aisle to the song from the end of episode 4, the medal ceremony music. So, Star Wars is a part of my most important relationships. Her brother is even bigger fans. So, I'm pretty sure no matter how much I annoy her, I'm safe. Beyond that, the friendships I've made, I've had a chance to meet a lot of the folks in the Utini team in person, including Eric, Meg, Corey, and Caitlin. I even got to meet Frank over in Ireland. And beyond Utini, the chance to hang out with 501st guys who came all the way from Australia to Chicago to hang out in Celebration. We got to hang out with them. And it's such a cool thing that so many different folks from so many places and so many walks of life are people we can bond with over something that we all love and enjoy. And it's been amazing. So thanks to Corey for starting all this, to folks like Eric and Meg for letting me continue to mash keys and make words. And to all of you, our listeners and readers and patrons, thanks for your support. And may the force be with you.
Wow. Well, you guys are all fired, and Carl can just have all of your jobs. Holy crap, Carl! That was like, I'm like warm and fuzzy inside now, man. Man, thank you. Thanks for the kind words. I love Carl. Carl's such a cool guy. He's one of the only.
Carl!
Actually, he might be the only person on the team that a bunch of us have met. Like,
yeah, that's what he was saying. With like, he's gone to Ireland. He's gone to Chicago. I met him in Seattle. Like. It was great. Carl came out to actually when I met Carl, he came out to a play I was doing outdoors on the island he happened to live on. Crazily enough. Yeah, I was on a summer theater contract, and he happened to live on that same island off the coast of Seattle, which is maybe the most random thing possible. And he came and saw my show, and then we went for beers afterwards, and just chatted Star Wars for hours. And I gotta say, he picked up the tab because he's a good dude.
Carl, what a guy!
What a guy!
Let's hang out, Carl. I like to talk about Star Wars and drink beers.
But yeah, so to everyone in this community, like this is why we do it. We love the community. We love hanging out with you. And Carl, like, you're a part of this family just as much as anyone on this team, dude. And I'm so glad that you did come on the book boxes way back in the day.
From that kid Corey, man.
Kid on a podcast.
That was only 3 years ago, Carl. I'm not that old, all right?
Yeah, but you shaved back then, and it was not.
That's true.
You know,
and he had glasses.
Look like a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, thank you, Carl. We love you, man. And stay tuned, everyone, to the Patreon of the Week next week. I'm not saying y'all got to step up, but come on. All right, so now to the main part of our show. We brought on these two fantastic creators tonight, Stephanie and Meg, because they were part of creating something that has been really just special in the way it's swept across the Star Wars Online community lately in a way that is truly needed, and the way that, I don't know, has really created a nice safe haven for a lot of people that have been needing one. So I want to turn it over to you two to just tell our audience, first of all, what is Project Stardust? And how did it all start?
I can go first. So Project Stardust is a website that we built to celebrate underrepresented voices in the Star Wars fandom. So there are a lot of people in this fandom who, as hard as they might try to create things and have a voice and, voice their opinions and have a safe space to do that, there are just too many people who don't have that. So we decided to create a website where anyone who feels like they don't have that voice can submit something, whether that be art or an article or a video, maybe someday eventually, just to talk about and celebrate like what you love about Star Wars. We are all about celebrating everything about Star Wars that we love. And we started doing that because it started with me just realizing that women don't get as many opportunities to write about Star Wars and talk about Star Wars. And so I started working for a Star Wars website back in June, I think. It had to be June for reasons. So I saw that this site was hiring writers, and I kind of just jumped at the chance to do that. And he kind of, we talked back and forth for a bit, and then he was like, do you want to, run editorial for my whole site? And the reason that was important to me is because any woman in fandom, let's say, who gets a chance to have that kind of leadership role is creating another opportunity down the road for another woman to do the same thing. If I'm hired to edit or be an editor, at some point I might have the opportunity to hire another woman. And that's really important because it just doesn't happen enough. Even if it doesn't seem like that's a thing, it is, I promise, trust me. So about 5 days into that job, the whole thing imploded. Terrible things happened. You talked about it on this podcast a little bit. We don't need to go too deep into all of those things again. But that resulted in me going to a Facebook group I'm part of called the Galactic Fempire, which is just a bunch of ladies and others who have this safe space on Facebook exclusively to do things such as vent about awful things that happened to us in the fandom, as I did that day, which I'd never done before, ever, and I try not to do it anymore. But I'm really glad I did it that day, because what started as a conversation about the world just being awful and women not being treated right, or anyone for that matter sometimes. Someone in the comments was like, well, I have a question. Why is there not a website for women by women that's all about Star Wars? Why does that not exist? And even if it does exist, why is no one talking about it? And I was like, that's a great question. Someone should fix that. And that someone
and you don't have jobs and we're bored, so
yeah. Well, so I resisted at first. I was like, I don't want to do this. I have way too many other things I have to do. But it just ended up being one of those things where I was like, this is really important to me. I can't let this go. I can't say no. So I kind of put a call out into that group, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this project. Does anyone want to help me? And I expected a couple responses. At least 50, 60, 70 people replied, and they're like, I want to do it. And I'm like, oh no, it's actually happening. I was not prepared for that. But this is about around the time where Stephanie got pulled into the chaos. So do you want to kind of go over the next stage of all the crazy things that happened?
So basically from that, Meg just sent this amazing group messenger chat to all of us. And as any messenger chat, it went a little crazy very quickly. And we sort of went from trying to organize this website to fangirling about Star Wars all day for it was probably a solid week or so. And then someone was like, well, how are we doing this? What's going on? And it's the summertime for an academic, so what am I doing other than supposed to be reading and writing a book? So I was like, okay, well, why don't we just start a survey? So I threw together this Google form survey, and I'll never forget it, because it was just the basic sort of, what do people want to do? What do people want this project to be? We all want this sort of space that we give other voices a chance, whether they're our voices or we're pushing other people to use theirs. And it was this beautiful moment where everyone, without exception, was talking about how we needed this space. And the space needed to be inclusive. We needed to give space for queer voices, for BIPOC voices, for people that just found Star Wars, and then for the people that have been around since 77. And that just represents the team, as a side note there. So we threw it all together, and then we had all of these great ideas. And we eventually were like, guys, we can't just stay in Messenger, because we're doing every conversation about Star Wars ever in this messenger while trying to plan a website. So then Meg and I started talking, because I think Meg disappeared with work for 2 hours, and then suddenly we're doing this form and we're trying to sort things out, and we come back to it. We're like, okay, well, we need a Facebook group, and then Facebook group ended up being a team Slack. And the team Slack averages 1,000 messages a week, just to give some insight to how this team just became this thing.
Yeah, once you hit Slack, you never go back. That is, it's official.
That is correct.
The week we launched, I think it was 2,700 messages in those 4 days.
Wow.
And it was just sort of everything from I hate mornings to Star Wars to what was going on with social media and some of the pushback we were getting, as well as we now have a memes channel for silliness and several things. But then it just snowballed really, and we divided it up. We said, okay, everyone start writing. We wanted a certain number of things before we launch. And I remember it getting to August and Meg and I having our first all right, what are we doing meeting, what's coming out, and just talking about the team and all of the articles that were coming, and they suddenly started appearing in the Slack. And just that excitement, and it's really snowballed from there. We've got an amazing team. We're still about 30 strong. Meg and I trying to organize everyone and everyone being like, we want to do this and that. And we're like, yes. But also, you've given us 10 article ideas and we need all 10 of them now. Thank you. But
Right.
like, because like, so we've tried different organization strategies and sort of the ins and outs of it, but it's really become this thing where we see someone wanting to write something on Twitter or on social media, and we're like, someone grab this person, bring them in. We are accepting, just side note here, pitches. So if you have ideas, we do exclusively publish female, femme, and non-binary voices, just to give a space for those who have felt that their voice wasn't valued for whatever reason. And it's just been this wonderful sort of spark of joy that I think happened this summer for all of the team in a way that none of us saw coming when Meg posted that first rant, which we constantly am like, thanks Meg for that rant. Both thank you for the extra work and thank you for doing it. And it's just sort of, it's grown from there. And we're looking forward to what's coming next with the website when I don't want to throw my computer and WordPress across the room.
Yeah.
If anyone
Oh, no.
WordPress knows. WordPress is the devil. It's evil.
Yep.
Real quick before we talk more about this, I want to give you guys a chance to plug a couple times throughout the show. If people do want to submit ideas, where is the best place for them to do that? Email, Twitter, how can they do that?
We have like all of the details on the website. So if you go to the projectstardust.org, in the contact us, there's a pitch thing and it breaks down the different types of articles, reviews, art options that we have at the moment. We're hoping to expand some of that. I know Meg mentioned video earlier. Half of our team is like, can we do video now? And we're like, not yet.
Someday.
One day, it's coming. So you can send us there, or you can send us an email at theprojectstardust@gmail.com, and one of us will answer and get back to that. We sort of look at pitches every week or so. So if you just side note for people who have put in pitches and we haven't responded, we're working on it. Because we usually have to check with our team to make sure no one has said something, or, if there's a place for collaboration between an external writer, a guest writer, and one of our team, we try to pair those up as well. And if you're a new voice and you want to write and you've never written before, we have loads of team members who are on it and are happy to chat about ideas, development, as many drafts as you need to get it to what you want it to be, to accurately capture your ideas. We have sort of the full range of come chat to here's an article, it's ready, can an editor check it for proofing, that we're ready to sort of handle from guests. And the team knows that editors are on standby all the time.
Yeah, I just want to say too, it's like really good stuff too, guys. Like like the intellectual discussion in a lot of the content that Stardust is putting out is like, it's really up there. And like I definitely believe that it's some of the best prose on the internet in regard to Star Wars, in my opinion. Like the discussion is like, it's heavy, like it's hard hitting, it's politically relevant, like it's really good stuff. Check it out. And like we're super proud to see like another voice in the community for sure.
Yeah, I mean, from the time that Meg first told us this was happening, like it was fun to like see, hear what it was like on the inside, because a lot of it was like Meg popping into our Slack and being like, things are happening. You'll see soon.
That doesn't sound like Meg at all.
it was awesome. And I got so on that, I actually have two questions. One, Stephanie, is that the Her Universe Ahsoka bangle?
Yes.
Excellent. Those are great. Two, not a sponsor yet. Ashley, hi. Thanks for listening.
That's right.
Please. But also, on that note, when all that content first came out, like Corey was saying, we found the quality so high because there are so many things people can say about Star Wars. People have been saying things for 40 years, whether it's an opinion here or there. But why do you folks think that the stuff Stardust puts out is, I don't want to set you up to sound, is so good, just frankly? Like, what do you think puts your content up apart from just like, here's a trailer recap that's just this? Like, why do you guys think that Stardust is so well equipped for that kind of analysis?
Part of it, I think, is we've created an environment like within our Slack, first of all, where if someone has an idea first of all, they feel safe and comfortable to kind of put it out there and say, like, what do you guys think of this? Knowing that that idea is not going to get judged too harshly, or we're not going to just say, no, you can't do that. There's going to be a discussion. There's going to be like, oh, what about this? Or you could do this instead. Or that's a great idea. Go do that thing. It's building confidence. So when we do that, and when we say this is a great idea, go for it, there's motivation there to kind of, for that writer to say, they think this is a good idea. I'm very passionate about this. I'm going to work really hard on this. I'm going to put all of my heart and soul into what I want to say in this article. And that's why they come out from the heart, because they are.
And building on that too, there's this sense of, I think, within the team that these are things that need to be said. That yes, we're hitting the hard hitting stuff. Like we don't want to cause controversy, but it feels like every other article that we put out causes some sort of controversy. And it's stuff that needs to be said. And I think it's stuff that needs to be said because we love Star Wars. And so, you know, when we're talking about gatekeeping, when we're critiquing the ideas of bullying and sexism, we're doing it because there's a stake here. And it's our stake in the fandom. It's the future of the fandom. You know, the things that we love the most are the things that are in some ways the easiest to critique, to talk about. So I think just that passion for Star Wars that our team has had, you know, for decades, is finally has an outlet for it to happen in. And I think, I don't know how it happened or what luck in the universe sort of got together and was like, we're going to do this for this team. But the team just gelled very early. And it sort of, from the get-go, there was no like, oh, we're not talking about that. It was like, can we talk about this? Can I say this? And it was like, yeah, someone needs to. So why aren't you the one? And that's something I think we're seeing with some of the guest writers that I am working with at the moment, who are saying things that need to be said. And they're saying things that need to be said in such a way that you see and you hear their passion for Star Wars, and you see the worry of some of the stuff that's happened. But there's a bravery there to say it, even though that they know there's going to be pushback. One of the things that I credit Meg with very much is, you know, creating that atmosphere of like, hey, trolls are out, ignore them. And then immediately we start joking about something, or someone puts in a meme. Baby Yoda memes are very popular in the Stardust Slack,
as well
as our prequel ones, to be fair. So there's just that sense of like, we're a team, we can say what we want. And there's also the sense that I don't think Meg and I have anything that we would say no to. I mean, I'm going to put an asterisk there because someone's going to like,
and the emails fly in.
Yeah, like I'm just like asterisks. You know, we do try to keep it like family friendly. But it is that sort of thing of like, well,
the sexiest Dio scenes in The Rise of Skywalker. You will not believe the third one.
Also, like, we do have an NSFW Slack chat. Because like,
amazing.
Who doesn't in their like project chat?
Yeah, that's just mine and Corey's personal DM.
I was about to say, Eric, we're not allowed to have that in our Slack. That'll get out of hand really fast.
Oh, ours does, but it always comes back around. But yeah, I think there's just this sense that it all met at the moment where everyone had things to say, and Meg just said like, let's have a space for it. So we did it. Like at the end of the day, I'm like, Meg had this idea and we did it. Like, I don't know what magic happened. But something happened.
What do you what do you guys think like maybe the sort of common shared experience you all have is that unified you? Like what is it that brought your team together that made you so, like, you're talking about like culture in a lot of ways, like team culture, which is something I'm like super passionate about. Like I've really done a lot of work on our own team to like try to foster this as well. But like, what do you guys think is the common factor that makes it work so well? Like, and I guess sort of a follow up to that is like, what does your community see in that makes them want to dive in so hard?
So, Meg, do you have ideas?
If you do, you can go first.
Okay, I think the big idea of, you know, we have something all in common. It's that we're women, femmes, and non-binary people who love Star Wars. Like that is literally the only overarching thing. We've had so many conversations about how we all come from different backgrounds, different school experiences, different life experiences, but it's that love of Star Wars at the end of the day, and this idea that, you know, we have to speak up. We have to see, if we see something that's wrong, we have to say something. Like those are the like couple things that immediately come to mind when it comes to the culture. And yeah, like I feel like that's a non-answer, but like it's a very basic, like we love Star Wars and we want to make the world a happy place, and this is how we're doing it, sort of thing. I think most days.
We had our first team Zoom call on launch day. That was launch day, right? Man, that was a day.
I think it was launch day. I'm now like,
I think you know what? I think it was, because at one point, I was kind of sitting there and I was like, this has been a long day. I've been awake since too early. So
yes.
it was. Okay, cool. So we had our first team Zoom call, and this is the first time we were all meeting, like actually face to face. And not everyone could be there, but a lot of us were. And it didn't, like, we didn't plan this, but for the first 15, 20 minutes, all we ended up doing was showing off our collections to each other, showing off our books or our Funkos or our art. Everyone was just carrying their laptops all around their houses saying like, oh, here's my thing, here's this thing. And that kind of was a moment for me where I was like, oh, we all just love Star Wars. And we all find so much joy in celebrating and showing off the things that we love. And I think that's really what brought us all together, and what prompted a lot of them to respond to me when I reached out to everyone was like, oh, you want to create a space together that's just about making Star Wars fun and good and a place where other people can also enjoy it. That's really, we need that in this fandom a lot. For some reason, more so now than ever. And that's the one thing I think that really holds us together, is like just realizing we're all here we all have the same goal, which is like, yeah, things happen and we have to speak up and we have to, say how we feel about things, but it's all for the purpose of making the Star Wars fandom a better place.
Yeah. And on that, I want to ask you guys something, a follow up about the speaking up idea of it, right? Because, I mean, obviously we are all in Star Wars because we love it, and it is something that brings joy away from, different parts of life, whether that be your normal day job, whether it be harsh friends or family dynamics, whether it be the everything about 2020, like whatever it is, Star Wars is supposed to be like this lovely oasis, and sometimes it's not. So, I want to ask, like, some of us, like me and Corey, previously have looked in Meg's like Twitter threads for a day, and I've like wanted to like bathe in acid. And like, not that any of those people deserve any more seconds of our time here, so they shall not get it. But I want to ask, how do you, for some other, like, especially femme and non-binary listeners, how do you keep up like that sense of joy and love and stuff while still being able to be like, I need to call out this trolling if I see it, yet my own mental health does at times necessitate me not seeing it at all? Like, how does that balance exist in 2020 when we're kind of all plugged in all the time?
For me, it's definitely a process. I'm still figuring it out. Like, there have been days where I've been on Twitter and responding to things when I shouldn't have been, because you shouldn't always have to feel like you have to be there and responding and active constantly. Also for me, though, doing whatever I can to support anyone in the fandom who's having a rough time, especially if it's like public, like on Twitter, that makes me feel like I'm doing something. A lot of times when you see this stuff happening, you're like, well, what can I do? I don't feel like I'm doing enough. What do I do here? If I can reach out to someone in a private message or something and kind of say like, hey, are you okay? Do you need anything? I'm here if you need to vent. And sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. And like, there's always a point where I'm like, I can give you my time, but also not all of my time. Just little things like that. I think if I can support people as much as I can, and then kind of take those moments where I'm not on Twitter for Honestly, I can't make it more than a few hours, but I try.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. How do we do this? I think we're all still figuring it out, honestly.
Well, one of the things when the first big kerfuffle happened, which was our launch, like we had nothing out and people were like coming for us and we're like, okay, whatevs. Part of that was us figuring out how we wanted to do that as a team. At that point, Meg and I were doing the Twitter. Anna still runs our Instagram, and I'm constantly amazed at her Instagram skills. Shout out to her there. But that moment where it was sort of, I'm trying to respond because I want to engage, and then realizing that some people don't care about like good faith engagement, and then find like once you realize that, having the freedom to sort of say, I'm not like, you don't like, I don't owe you my voice. This is something that is very much a passion project for all of us. Like, this isn't our job. This is something that we love, so we wanted to do it. So figuring out that, like, yes, we want to have these conversations, but we're not going to engage if the conversations are going to hurt our team. Sure. And something that, our very first conversation Meg and I had when things were just getting off was like, we know that this is going to get pushed back. We knew it from the start, and saying we don't care about that as long as we can protect our team. As long as that, like, Meg and I are the ones taking the brunt of it, like, we feel better. And then when it comes for someone on our team, as it does, more than I think sometimes they tell us, saying, we're here for you. Like, what do you need us to do? Do we need to make jokes right now? Do we need to send you virtual hugs? Do we need to like go on a blocking spree? Like, what has happened? How do we protect the team? How do we protect those voices? We are working for voices that are underrepresented, and part of that is naturally going to have pushback. So how do we protect those underrepresented voices that we're putting out there? And some of that's just muting. If it gets into violent language, which we've seen, that's block, report, that sort, basic Twitter things. But also coming back and saying, what do you need to our team? But also like just to like talk about how amazing the team is again, because I love these girls and NBs, is this idea that, they knew what Meg and I were seeing, because they were like, oh, what are you seeing? How can I engage? And then like them coming back to us and being like, no, how do we take care of you? Like, the two of you are seeing this, like, they're coming from Meg. How do we take care of you, and how do we block these voices? And that sense of community. And I think that all comes back to both the passion and the desire to have these conversations and to say this, but in a way that facilitates a positive interaction. And, we had a Skype, like our second Skype, or basically our second Zoom, where we all just made the decision sort of collectively and accidentally that we were going to laugh about it. We're not going to be able to prevent some of this. So at the end of the day, we decided that our catharsis for it was to laugh and like to complain about it, yes, but to come back into the Slack and make jokes once we were ready. And I think that's something that's like, hey, this thing's going on, but we're not engaging, just so you know. Also, here's this really funny thing I found, and can we talk about the new merchandise? So there's that as well. That balance, I think, is part of it too.
Yeah. And I mean, I love hearing about that kind of coping, because I think that's what communities are for. They're to enjoy things together. They're also to help deal with hard things together. And on that, I actually want to like now take that swing and go back up and ask the two of you something as we're getting near the end of the hour here about the Star Wars community in general, because as we've said, this show, there's so many great things coming out. I mean, next week we here are going to start talking about Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising, which has been sweeping everyone's little serotonin bubbles that I've talked to, which has been great. But I want to ask the two of you, aside from some of the articles you've been putting out, are there any other things in Star Wars right now that, trolls be damned, you are just freaking loving? That is just every day, whether it be those Baby Yoda memes or whether it be a book or comic, or like what is just what's filling you up right now?
That's hard.
Yeah.
All of it? Like, can I say that? Can I say all
Yes!
of it? Like,
Yes, you can.
Like anything Star Wars? Like, I mean, my big thing coming back is I love seeing all of the art and like the pins and the sort of fan-made merchandise, because there's so many creative people within this fandom. And whether, you know, it's a Raylo pin or it's an Ahsoka print, whatever it is, I love seeing how people throw that together and are just like, here's this cool thing I created, and then seeing the rallying around that. So sort of the fan voices, the unofficial fan voices that we see, I think that's something that like every day, it's like, you know, if other people can deal with it, then so can we. And let's like promote those. Also, like just going from that, like Project Stardust, like the Slack, every time someone has a pin drop, it inevitably ends up in the Slack, and it's a problem for like half the team.
God, the walls in my apartment that have pin boards and now Funko shells and now I have like 3 places that don't have art, and I'm like, I don't know what it's gonna be. I'm like paralyzed with indecision because of that stuff. Like, it's so good.
I'm excited for season 2 of The Mandalorian, like the show itself, but for some reason I'm really enjoying all the speculation that's happening right now. Normally I am kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this, but like I think at this point we're all so starved for just content in general. Like there no movies, shows, or what's happening with those, who knows. I think having the show coming up, knowing that it has a premiere date, knowing, you know, we have a countdown, just listening to everyone kind of say like, oh, is, you know, who's this person, and is this character going to show up? And it's really just, it's exciting to be excited about something, especially that it happens to be Star Wars. So that's fun.
It is kind of cool to see something like The Mandalorian that has united the world. It's united the world. I'm just gonna, sure, why not? Let's go for it. Like that, everyone, doesn't matter if it's like your aunt that stole a Disney Plus password from someone, knows who Baby Yoda is. Like it's kind of cool that something like that is so universally loved. And I can't believe it's next month. Like we're here, we made it, and it's before the election. Anyway, what I want to do, real quick before we, again, once more, get all the Product Stars information, we're going to take one more quick break. We're going to throw up a little merch ad for all of our viewers with the coupon code to use this week only. And then we're going to end our show with a couple updates and a few more words from the Project Stardust team. Be back in a sec. All right, and for all of our audio listeners, that ad reminded you that if you use promo code Thrawn15, which is much easier than Mithronurodo15, through this Friday, you get 15% off your Utini merch, including the glorious Thrawn shirt for next week, and or the Mustafar shirt with an actual moose. Couple quick updates before we get out
favorite.
Not a picture of a moose.
So dumb.
It's an actual moose.
I love it. I love it so hard. A couple updates before we do all of the last plugs. Wes, I want to give you a congratulations for the continual beautiful running of Utini Game Night. It's been such a fun thing on this Twitch channel. And a huge shout out to our very own Emma, who during her stream last week got 35 concurrent viewers thanks to a raid from Molly Damon. So thank you so much to Emma, to Molly, to everyone that tuned in last week for Emma's awesome gameplay. Wes, what do we got this week?
Okay. Well, speaking of, that was really awesome by what Molly had done. That raid got a lot of new attention to Utini game nights. That it's every week, so it's usually either a Wednesday or a Friday, but it's just a way for us to unwind, play some Star Wars games, get some chat talking or whatever. But we really enjoy interacting with with our followers, and with that jump in followers, it was really fun to watch Emma talk with all those people that were there. So that was great. So this week This week is kind of special. Heather and I have taken off of work on Friday because Star Wars Squadrons is coming out or releasing on midnight on Friday. So we're going to go live at midnight to start playing Squadrons. We'll hopefully have some of our Utini patrons join our squad, I guess. But we're gonna stream live at midnight on Friday, because A, we really want to play the game. B, took off work, so I have nothing to do, and C, there's a lot of people will watch these streams for game reveals or like right when a game comes out just to see if they want to buy it or not. So if they watch me play, then I would like an extra income boost from EA or whoever put it out, because I have
you are now spending you're spending PTO on Utini now.
Yes, exactly.
You're now spending your actual time.
I mean, I took off my hard-earned days that I should just be relaxing to, do some
To play video games.
Utini
Let's be
work.
honest.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. That's true.
Well-
And then I have a vet appointment the next day for my dog, but it's not till like 5 o'clock, so it's cool.
Well, awesome, and I truly hope Heather, if you're listening or watching right now, I hope that you will not be sleeping for 24 hours beforehand, so we can get the most authentic Heather experience.
Oh my god.
Possible.
Oh my god.
Unfiltered Heather.
Wes, I'm gonna need
No,
you to
if-
find one of those censor buttons, like somewhere. We can just loop that directly into the Twitch and just. It's gonna have to be quick on the fly for Heather.
I can come up with something.
Well, if you are listening to this on the Patreon feed, that is tonight then at midnight. You can see Wes and Heather hanging out. And, of course, those are up on Twitch for about a week afterwards. So go check that out afterwards. Another shout-out to our Legends Look Back crew. Jared and Freddie are going through some Thrawn stuff lately. Thanks to Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising. Of course, they're going through Heir to the Empire. Started last week. I know Cheryl was a huge fan of that. And they are live on Twitch every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Conjure Book Club is in full swing with Timothy, Adam, and Patrick going through Bloodline by Claudia Gray and Dark Disciple next by Christy Golden was voted on because it's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's a really great book, and be sure to check that out. I need to actually pull up another app on my my little iPad here because, y'all, I have promised the 3 people that actually care that I would give a Utini fantasy football update. Yes, yes, everyone. For those of you who do not know, our Utini crew, a few of our staff, and a few of our friends are in a fantasy football league together. I am not doing well, but you don't care about that. You want to know who's doing well. I am pleased to say last week, love of my life, my partner Charlie, who does Ghost Crew with me, got the most points in our entire league. I'm not jealous at all. It's fine. It's great. Very proud of her. She did really great. And this week, as I'm looking at the league right now, it looks like our high scorer is Darkside 1523. That's right. Tyler himself on the team. So congratulations to you two. There's Monday Night Football. That should be starting in 5 minutes. So that's your teeny fantasy update for the 3 of you that care. All right. Give me a trophy at the end of this year. I got to make a trophy. I got to make a physical trophy that we can ship around the world.
Championship belt. That's how you do it.
There it is, baby.
A belt.
Last couple things before we get on out of here and let Stephanie and Meg tell you all about the Stardust hanging out. Patreon, everyone. We are less than $20 away from the iJedi live read by Corey Heldon. Corey, you were gone. You didn't think we forgot.
What do you mean I didn't think you forgot? Listen, on my 5th day of being on vacation, these assholes at Utini, they sent me an entire box full of iJedi books. An entire box. I literally opened it. There's I don't know if you can see it behind me. They have a whole flipping stack of iJedi. That's what I get for saying a couple weeks ago that I don't even own the book. Someone's going to buy it for me. So Utini sent me a whole bunch of them, but I have to give a special shout out to the most committed of all jokers, Cheryl. I think Cheryl's in our chat. Yes, she is.
Yes, she is.
Cheryl sent me a hardcover copy of iJedi, so I'm not sure how she landed that. And she mailed it all the way from Canada. All right, so you people, you teeny people, you take some notes. You bunch of cheapskates. You sent me a bunch of friggin' paperbacks. hardcovers are where it's at. All right, and that one I'm gonna keep. I'll give the rest of those away or burn them or something. But
Burn them, yeah, I was gonna say. Well, everyone, if you want to see Corey reading live from Cheryl's hardcover, again, utini.com/Patreon, patreon.com/utini.
I'm not excited
up
about
there.
this.
I could not. I couldn't be more stoked. You'll get access to all of our extra content, including the Ghost Crew, the Star Wars Rebels show from me and the fantasy wizard herself, Charlie. And of course, we have the Conjure Book Club recorded episodes are up there. Legends Look Back is now in its own podcast feed. But if you're at a patron, I think it still goes to that feed normally. You get Lightspeed Skipping, which is coming out every other week. And then, of course, Bounty Hunt when The Mandalorian comes back out in October. All right. Before we do our social plugs, Stephanie, Meg, one more time. First of all, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so nice to hear about this beautiful piece of Star Wars in a time when we could use every bit of light and beauty that we can. So thank you for creating this place and continuing to produce such awesome content, which is still coming up all the time. Where can our listeners find Stardust? Where can they find you personally? What's going on?
You can find all of our content at project-stardust.org. And you can get to our socials from there. You can find all the things. And you can find me on Twitter, even though I shouldn't be there as much as I am, at Meg Dowell.
Preach.
And you can find me Twitter, Instagram, all of it is at Stephanie Eloise. And you can also, from the Project Stardust Instagram and from our Twitter, you can find some of our team as well for those that are on socials. So it's all linked there.
Love it. Well, I do hope that everyone listening, everyone watching, go check out Stardust and their content. It really is such high quality stuff, and we'll get so many more thoughts in your head about parts of Star Wars you may not have thought about in a while. We do also have a Project Stardust channel in our Discord over at utini.com/Discord where all the articles come up. You can talk about all things going on in Stardust. We have a special Stardust emoji that Jose put together. So throw that everywhere. Throw that in every channel. Every channel needs Stardust emojis. This week forward, I'm going to see them. I trust you all. But on that is going to do it for this week's episode of The Living Force.